Good morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
All right, good morning. Welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. We're coming up on the enrollment season. It just, kids just went back to school. Seems like yesterday, but it's been a couple days. Or some people like to say it's been a minute. But we're coming up on this enrollment season. October 1st is when we're allowed to review the Medicare plans and actually even make recommendations of, hey, yep, you're fine, keep the plan you have, or hey, you might want to take a look at this plan, and we can get that set up and in place for January 1st. That's that annual election period that starts on October 15th. But the first 2 weeks of the month, we do have that, what we call pre-AEP, that we can review those plans, double-check your drug coverage, and make sure that we figure out the plan that's going to fit you the best for the coming year. That's especially important when it comes to your Part D prescription. So if you have a Medicare supplement, a Plan G or a Plan F, or even a Plan N, some people have those now, and you have a separate drug plan, and we call that a PDP, prescription drug plan. And unfortunately, that's usually what I'll say. I'll say PDP, and someone will go, what? And I'll say, oh, your Part D drug plan. Oh, yeah. So, but those have to be reviewed during that annual election period. There is the Medicare Advantage, we kind of get a second chance to maybe change the plan after the first of the year, what Medicare calls the Medicare Advantage open enrollment. But the drug plan, unless you qualify for some other special election period, if you don't make a change in AEP for January 1st, you're going to have that plan for a whole nother year. So it's very important that we review those every year. This year especially so. It's going to be something, and I'm going to try to make sure I don't go to the negative, but I am going to be kind of a little negative. Can't help it on this topic. But just kind of be out there. We have the Inflation Reduction Act, which was passed in 22 or 23. I think it was 22. But it was making some changes to drug coverage. Well, this year it made a big change. And what it did was there is finally now a cap on prescription drug coverage if you have a Part D. It's going to open a whole nother can of worms. I don't know why I said box of worms. For not this year, or I'm saying not this year, not in 25, but in 26, because it's going to have a big effect on the group plans and other plans with prescription drug coverage that people have said they're exempt from having to have the Part D and not having a late penalty on the Part D because they have other coverage. But because those don't have a cap, or at least not the same cap that the Part D is, group plans are going to have to modify how they handle prescription drug coverage so that they match the requirements of the Part D plans. And that's something, again, that's for another year, so we're not going to get too deep into that. I don't know how they're going to do that. Just kind of letting you know that group plans are going to kind of change probably in 2026 when it comes to drug coverage for people over 65. That's the ones it's going to affect, the ones that are eligible for Medicare. So anyway, with the Inflation Reduction Act, they put that cap on the prescription drug costs. So everybody should be looking at their drug coverage this year, whether you have a Medicare Advantage and have drug coverage, or you have that Part D with your Medicare supplement and have drug coverage. You're really going to want to look at your plan. The plans are changing. Some of the plans you've been used to, you had to pay a deductible, or you paid a high premium on your drug plan, so you didn't have a deductible, and then you just paid a $40-some copay on your brand name drugs. Most plans, I believe, I've seen a few projections of what they're doing for this coming year. So hopefully I'm not revealing things I'm not supposed to reveal until October. As I mentioned, we have that 2 weeks where we can get into and say, this is what your plan's doing. But as a general statement, what I've seen is most of the plans are going to have the deductible, and it's set, so I can share this. This has been set. This is public knowledge, or it's been publicly published, is the Part D deductible for 2026 is $590. That's not going to affect everybody. Most of the plans, what I've seen, if you just have those low-cost generic drugs, you're not probably going to have to worry about the deductible, or even if you did, they're small enough cost that it wouldn't matter so much if you had to pay full price for them. So, something you're normally paying $1 or getting for $0 and its actual cost is like $25. It wouldn't kill you if you had to pay $25 of it towards that deductible, which would be going towards that max out of pocket. What's going to hit people are those brand names. And as I always tell my clients when we used to talk about the donut hole, is if you see it advertised on TV, you're going to experience that donut hole. And it's kind of this year, it's going to be, hey, if you see it on TV, you're probably going to hit that $2,000 max out of pocket. No, by the way, you are going to have that $590 deductible. And then what they're doing after that deductible, instead of having a copay, it's going to be a percentage. I've seen, and I guess maybe I shouldn't say rates, but I just kind of rule of thumb is just kind of figure if you know what, when you get those EOBs, explanation of benefits from your prescription drug insurance plan, when you went to the pharmacy or you got mail order, you get the notice and say, used to say, charge this much, this was your copay, this is how much you have left to the coverage gap. Some people look at those, some don't. What's going to be a little different this year is, but when you hit that donut hole, it was usually 25%, and that's usually going to be typical. Of course, if it's a Tier 4 or Tier 5, it's probably going to be a higher percentage. The good news is you have a $2,000 cap, and they've also done where they're instituting a payment plan. And don't ask me how that works. I was in a meeting last week with a bunch of other insurance agents and carrier reps, and nobody could seem to kind of agree on how that payment plan is going to work. So it's going to be interesting. But the good news is, as I mentioned, that $590 deductible, you're going to have to pay that first on those Tier 3, 4, and 5 drugs on most plans. But then you can set up, you don't have to pay anything at the pharmacy. They will send basically, you may have to sign something, but you agree to a payment plan with the insurance carrier. And they will just divide that $2,000, I think it's like $167.50 or something like that. And then you'll pay that directly to the insurance company to pay for your prescription. So they spread it out over the year, and you can make payments on it instead of having to come up with a $590 deductible and 25% of whatever the cost of it that's left over, and then the next month you're paying 25% of a $1,000 drug would be another $250. So the good news is you can spread that out over 12 months. I caution everyone, if you go that route, make sure you pay that. With drug plans that have a premium, well, most of them all have a premium. Some people do get assistance on that. But if you're paying the premium and you quit paying it for some reason, if it's not automatically coming out of your Social Security or something like that, and you stop paying it, the insurance company can cancel that drug plan because you haven't made your payment. Now, it's usually subject to a grace period, so 30 to 60 days before they actually cancel it if you don't pay it. They don't want to cancel it. They want you to pay the premium. So if you're doing automatic payments, or you're mailing in payments every month on your prescription, that is not what you're going to be paying on that payment plan. So don't think, I'm paying my drug plan when you're paying that payment plan for your prescriptions. They are separate payment. If you don't pay that payment, your insurance isn't canceled as long as you're paying the monthly premium. Those are separate payments. But if you don't pay it, they can turn that over to collections, and that can affect your credit rating. So you want to make sure that you do pay that payment plan. So that's going to be something that's going to help a lot of people, especially that had expensive drugs. I have noticed also we get what's called first looks, so we can kind of see the structure of the Medicare Advantage plans. And I can say, hopefully this won't get me in trouble, but I have noticed a lot of the Medicare Advantage plans are going to be having that deductible on those expensive drugs too. And what they're doing is, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, they're going to have to pay a lot more of the cost of the drugs. It used to be that was one of the things when you're in what they call the donut hole, is there was a lot of support from the drug manufacturers paying a big chunk of the costs, and Medicare picking up some of those costs when they went into what's called the catastrophic phase, where people still had to pay 5% of their costs. The insurance company's not getting that help now. The insurance company is shouldering much more of that cost. So they have to figure somewhere to eliminate some of those costs. So the Medicare Advantage plans, they have a little more room that they can adjust those costs or absorb some of those costs. So you're going to see maybe some higher max out-of-pocket, higher co-pays, less benefits. Some of them may be cutting or reducing their dental benefits, their over-the-counter benefits, all those little extra benefits that add on to their cost, they may reduce some of those. A lot of plans have been adding those Part B give-backs where they're paying part of your Part B premium and people are seeing a little bit more in their Social Security check each month. Those could change also. So those are some things to kind of keep an eye on. You should be getting, we're in September now, you should be getting your annual notice of changes from your insurance company that's going to tell you, hey, this is what your premium's going to be next year. This drug has been moved from Tier 2 to Tier 3. We've removed this drug from our formulary. All those little things are going to be on there. Same thing with the Medicare Advantage. You say that, the dental plan has been reduced by $500 a year, or the over-the-counter instead of $100, a quarter is now going to be $75 per quarter. Those little changes, and that'll be in those annual notice. And those are one of those things, again, we encourage you, if you've got that annual notice change, if you want, go ahead and you can set an appointment now. We can go over that. Just to kind of review what your changes are going to be versus next year with the plan you have, and still say that might still be a good plan, but we'll double check that in October. But we can go over, just review those, and I can help you understand that plan. So that's something to get with me on for the annual notice of changes. We can start doing some of those checks, like if you send us your prescription list, we can review those different plans. We can put that into the system and be ready on October 1st to do those quotes. We're working on some. We got a couple of different ways we're going to be having some where we can send you a link and have you fill it out. We've had to make some changes on some of our forms that was helping us be a little more efficient. So right now we're not as efficient because we're in that flux of changing those formats. But again, it can be as simple as sending us a text or an email saying, I take metformin 500 milligram 3 times a day, or I take lisinopril 25 milligram. Those are things we could do. Tell us what your preferred pharmacy is. All right, and those are those things. So we're going to go into our commercial break here now. I may have to reintroduce a little bit of what I was talking about in the forums, and then in the second half, I am going to hit the part that's being a little negative for us, but hopefully I can still keep that on a positive note.
Hi, this is Mark Gall, your local business solutions consultant with Twin Lakes. Is your business ready for a boost in productivity? Looking to elevate your customer experience? With Twin Lakes Gig Speed Fiber Internet, you can do all that and more with fast, reliable service, backed by local 24/7 support. We've proudly served businesses in the Upper Cumberland for over 70 years, and we'd love to serve yours. Give us a call at 1-800-644-8582 or visit us online at twinlakes.net.
Hey, college students, ready to ace your dorm or apartment setup? Dive into your local Habitat Restore. Uncover unique, budget-friendly furniture, decor, and essentials that make your space pop, all while supporting a great cause. From trendy finds to classic pieces, Habitat Restore has everything you need to create your perfect pad. Plus, you can even donate your items that you're no longer using. Stop by Habitat Restore today, off South Jefferson Avenue in Cookeville, now with extended hours. Shop smart, live well, and make a difference.
And now, back to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby Insurance.
All right, welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. And as I stated before the break, just talking about some of those things to update us on that we can get going. Hopefully we'll have a form set up for that, but it's real easy if you just want to send us an email or if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, obviously let us know who your doctors are, what your preferred hospital, those things, because that, again, affects which plan you're going to want to take. If your doctor doesn't take it, or you've got one specialist that doesn't take a plan, you may not want to go with that plan. And again, unfortunately, that's one of the things with the Medicare Advantage plans are sometimes if you have several doctors, they won't all take the one plan. There may be one doctor that doesn't take, or you've got a doctor you want to see and they don't take any Medicare Advantage plans. If you know that going in, you know you're going to pay, you're just going to have to pay for that doctor visit, that's usually okay. The other thing is if you have a PPO, that's something, and again, that's one of those reasons we do suggest if you're seeing a lot of doctors, when if you're not in the best of health when you turn 65, if you can afford it, get a Medicare supplement, because then you don't have to worry about networks. And at any time as you get older and those rates go up, if you can't afford that Medicare supplement anymore, you can switch to an Advantage then. But again, you're going to need to make sure your doctors are in network. So that's not necessarily your first choice. I've been seeing some posts on Facebook, like, somebody asked about help for a Medicare Advantage. Of course, most of the comments, don't do it. Sometimes it just doesn't work for somebody not to do a Medicare Advantage, especially if they already have a Medicare Advantage. That's the one thing. That's why I always caution people when they're turning 65. That if they're not in the best of health, or they want to have a little flexibility, they want to travel a lot, they do the snowbird thing, the Medicare Advantage is not necessarily going to be the best fit for them. Yes, it's, if you don't go to the doctor at all, you're thinking, why should I pay any premium when I don't go to the doctor? It's kind of like car insurance. It's like, hey, I don't plan on hitting anybody, but it can happen. So you need that insurance to protect you. If you don't get a Medicare supplement and you turn 65, go ahead and get a zero premium, especially a PPO that has the drug coverage. That way you don't have any late enrollment penalties, and you do have something to fall back on. So be looking for, or get those notices into us. The other thing is, I mentioned earlier, everybody needs to reevaluate their drug coverage this year if they're on Medicare. Whether you have a Medicare Advantage or you have just a standalone Part D plan, you need to review your drug coverage for this year. They're all changing. One carrier is they're only going to have one plan. So it doesn't matter what plan you have. If you stay with that company, they're going to say, we're enrolling you in this plan unless you change plans. So that's something, and we always encourage people, even if you weren't our client previously, we will still do a free drug plan review for you. We're probably going to do those a little quicker than in the past, and it's just going to be a matter of, we're probably just going to say, okay, the plan you have still looks like it's going to be work for you, and let you go upon your merry way, as they say. The other is, yes, you're being what's called crosswalk. This plan doesn't exist anymore. They're going to enroll you in this plan. That may not be the best solution for you. So we'll say, yeah, you could just do nothing and you're going to have this plan, but I think this one here might work a little bit better for your drug costs. And then we can do enrollment for that. If I can enroll you in that plan. That's where I'm getting into the part that's kind of a little negative. I'm going to try to keep it clean. And I say clean, not, and I'm going to be swearing, I've probably done enough of that already, is not mentioning drug plan, the insurance carrier names. That can get me in trouble, especially if I'm saying things that could be considered negative. Somebody will hear it, and then I get sued, and I don't need that. So I won't use the company names right now, but you might be able to figure out when I talk about it. Because, especially if you're my client, I've probably put you on this plan. So typically, especially with the drug plans, they do that. We've had a couple of times where these plans have merged, or they just decide that they really don't want any more people enrolled on that plan, so they're not going to pay commission for us to enroll you in that plan. And how that affects you is, if I'm not getting paid for the time that I took to evaluate your drugs, I'm not going to want to put you on that plan because they're not going to pay me. Not that I'm holding anything against you, but, it's like, I still want to get paid because you don't pay me for this service. This is something, we're not allowed to charge for it. So we want to put you on a plan that's at least going to reimburse us for our time. And that's the way that's kind of the way it's been with the drug plans, is what we get paid for those is pretty much just a reimbursement of our time. But at least now we're your agent. We can help you with that plan. We can call the customer service on your behalf and things like that. Well, some of the companies have made their plans non-commissionable. But if we had them, one company did it a few years ago. They had a very low-cost plan, and we put a lot of people on that plan that was like, hey, I don't take anything, or I just take one or two generics. I don't want to have that late enrollment penalty later, so I need a drug plan. And we put them on that very inexpensive one, and it worked out great. Well, the second year that they did that plan, they said, no, we're not going to pay commission on this plan anymore, but we'll still pay renewals on the plan that you put people on. So that part there was nice. This year we have a company that last year, or I say last year, again, always weird when I talk about the years, this year, last year, next year, because I'm usually when I'm talking this year, I'm actually talking about next year, because we're getting ready to do the enrollment for 2026. 2025. And so I'm thinking the 2025, that's this year's plans. Last year's plans are the 2024 plans because that's when we did, enrolled most people in. We did it during that annual election period. Well, one of the companies, like I said, they drastically dropped their rate out. In fact, the year before they were affordable, and I put some people on that plan because it was a good fit for them. And actually, it was kind of my go-to when the other one decided they weren't going to pay commission. I was like, hey, this one it's a couple dollars more a month, but you have me as an agent, and I actually get paid for my time. And people, we want you to get paid, so they went ahead and signed up with it. And then last year, it was very low cost. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for people to sign up on that plan. That company decided not only are they not going to pay commissions for their drug plans, they're no longer going to pay renewals. And that may not seem like a big deal to folks, but in the Medicare business, one of the reasons we enjoy doing Medicare besides helping people find the right plan is it's a good long-term income source. Medicare plans pay renewals. You have people out there that focus on life insurance because life insurance pays a lot of money up front. So you get the thing is with life insurance, most life insurance plans, they either pay very little in the second year or none at all. So it's kind of like real estate, selling houses. You have to sell another house to keep earning income. Medicare, you can build up a book of business and have that cushion of, hey, I know I've got these renewals coming in. I can budget my advertising. I can budget my payroll because I know I've got all these renewals coming in. We still need to build new business to continue to grow and continue to have that steady income, but the renewals really support that. So that's one of the attractiveness and one of the reasons we get in the Medicare business when it comes to insurance. Taking away those renewals put the crunch on us financially. And like I said, it's probably one of the busiest things we do during the annual election period is review those drug plans. And we're basically kind of looking at this year, we're not even going to get paid for that. We're still going to do it. We're still obviously going to take care of our clients. But the other downside on that is I can't enroll you in this plan because of one of the things is our errors and omission insurance. That's my malpractice insurance. Does not cover us when we enroll somebody in a non-commissioned plan. The other thing is the plan that's not going to pay us is making everybody recontract if they want to get paid on their Medicare Advantage plans. I don't intend to recontract. There's no reason for me to. I'm not going to get paid for the drug plan, and I usually don't write their Medicare Advantage plans. I've already done my recertification for that plan for next year, but for whatever reason, they're wanting everybody to recontract. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Hopefully maybe things will change, and they'll be convinced that they need to pay us the renewals. We know they're not going to pay commission, but they still need, they need to keep us on our renewals. So that's my negative thing. Unfortunately, that's part of the business, but it does give us the advantage of meeting with a new person, a new potential client, reviewing their drug coverage, because there are other products we can help that person with. They still might want to get a cancer plan. They may want to get some life insurance. The other thing is, I always say, I help somebody. Hopefully they will refer me to other people saying, hey, he sat down with me, he covered everything, went over all my costs and said, keep what you got. As I've said, you probably heard me say on the show here, the Boy Scout tradition of when you go on the campground, you leave it better than you found it. That's what I do when I meet with somebody about their Medicare insurance. If I can't put them on something that's going to be better for them, I am not going to suggest they move. It's not worth it just to try to get a commission on one client. One of the things I always tell people is now I'm not going to recommend something that you can't afford. I can't retire on one, I'm not going to make enough on one client to retire on it, so I'm not going to try. I'd rather have the goodwill and get the referrals from that person. And again, that carries weight too, because they can, that helps my credibility to say, hey, he sat down with me, looked at what I had, and said that I just need to keep what I have. I don't want to mess with that. Somebody's got a group plan. I tell them, that a lot of times people have a group plan on the health insurance, but they can't afford to put their family on the group plan. So they'll go ahead, and the family will go on an ACA Marketplace plan, get the subsidy, and it's now affordable for them. But they can still be on with their spouse on that employer group plan, dental plan. And I say, You can keep them on the dental plan. I cannot compete with those prices. We have affordable, competitive priced dental plans, but they are not competitive with a group insurance plan. Those plans are going to be better rates, a payroll deduction. So it makes sense to keep on those plans. I'll get another plan, and those people will leave that employer, and now they still want to have dental insurance. And I've got a couple carriers that will waive waiting periods for the major care if you already had dental insurance. So it can make those more affordable, because generally people, when they call me and ask me about dental insurance, it's because they've got something major dental work they need to have done, and they're trying to figure out a way that they won't have to pay for most of it. Well, when you do that, it's too late. It's like, you can't buy life insurance after you had a scare with a heart attack. There's some you can get, but it's not going to pay. If you die within the first 2 years, it's not going to pay, and it's going to be much more expensive. So as I tell the young people, get the insurance when you're young and healthy. It's really cheap when you're young and healthy. Don't wait till you're old and round like me. So the same thing with the plans, that dental plans. Don't, if you don't have a dental plan, get a cheap dental plan that at least, and some of them is at least as long as it covers the preventive, where it's just you're paying so much, you're kind of prepaying, but you pay up so much per month. And when you go to the dentist and get your teeth cleaned and get the x-rays, there's no charge at that point. One of the plans I have counts that type of dental plan as coverage. Now, there's others that will waive the waiting period, but they won't count the preventive plans. It has to be the comprehensive dental plan that pays for fillings and other things. So anyway, I guess I'm about out of time here. And until next week, we'll see you on the radio. And please call us with any questions, 931-881-3969, insurancematchmaking.com.
You've been listening to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.